Here are the contenders. All SunJoe. Which is the best? The original, the new 15-inch, or the electric battery-powered one? Stay tuned.
So welcome back to the greener lawn.
Did you say the greener lawn? Why would you say
lawn.
welcome back to the greener lawn?
I didn't say that.
That's what it sounded like.
No. So,
right.
welcome back to the greener lawn.
If you like my content, please hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and always leave a comment in the comment section. Those things are super valuable to us as content creators. When it comes to the 3 different models that they're offering right now, and there are a couple of offshoots, but these are the main 3 offerings as of 2021. It is going to be the 13-inch Scarifier, the 15-inch SunJoe Scarifier, and the 14-inch battery-powered SunJoe Scarifier Dethatcher. So when it comes down to these 3 different machines, what makes the differences? Why should you purchase each one of them? And we ran a couple of tests just to back it up. So here's the differences in these machines. So here are the contestants. This is the original AJ801E 13-inch. It does have this old traditional push in, lower and raise it. So that's -10 and 10 right there. So you can see that you have that adjustments. It is only 13-inch wide on a deck. There's no adjustments as noted on the 15-inch. And it does have smaller back wheels, so it doesn't roll as well. This is the new 15-inch AJ805E. So this one has a 15-inch deck, so it does remove an extra 2 inches from the smallest one, which is the original, and 1 inch bigger than the battery powered. It does have these fancy adjustments on the knobs. You just loosen these knobs right here and you can adjust it up and down to your height, which the other 2 do not have. Height adjustment isn't as slick as it is on the battery powered, but it is a step in the same direction as the original. The cartridge has kind of a triangular cartridge in here. This little piece drops out, you pull this and slide it out, and you slide the new cartridge in. Last model, it's going to be the 14-inch battery 24V X2 DTS 15. Super easy height adjustments. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and as you get closer to 5, it's the lowest setting. As you go to 1, it raises it up. So super easy. 2 batteries. They do have the button on it to tell what the battery level is. As noted on the 15-inch, this does not have a height adjustment, so it's one size fits all on this one. 14 inches on this battery-powered model. Rear wheel is a lot bigger than the other 2, so it rolls a lot better. So the one thing to note on this one, it does have this knob right here for a quick change. Take off that knob, that assembly swings out, this whole piece slides out, you slide the new one in. No extra tools necessary to change these cartridges. Handles ergonomics are nice on all of them. They all have this padded fill. They do all have the pull trigger, and you push this and then you pull your handle, and that's how you engage. So from a standpoint of them all next to each other like this, the differences that I can feel is that they're all kind of flimsy, they're all kind of easy to bend and stuff. But overall, the battery-powered one is the most sturdy. It definitely has the most sturdiness to it. This one has a little bit of flex in its handle, and the original had the most flex in its handle, and it has the most play. So here's how I'm going to be setting up my testing. These 3 SunJoe Scarifier Dethatchers are going to be in their own lane. So how the test will work is I'm going to run the patterns this way in their respective lanes. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross pass them back and forth to see how much we can get on a second pass out of each one. So the 2 different tests that I will be running today is 1 is going to be how much do each one of them pull up. 2, what's the speed difference on doing passes. So when I do each one of them, I will time it by my recording time. All right, so for the initial look, 13 inch doesn't look like it pulled up much out further, where it's a little bit more spotty, where the other ones did a pretty good job. Where the 13 inch I feel like did a better job was pulling it from right here. It did an extremely good job. The middle one, the 15 inch, would get it stuck up underneath its carriage, because you're supposed to be using the bag with it, but I'm not using the bag just because I would have had to change it twice to 3 times during these passes. So over here, grabbed a little bit in here and did pretty well down through. So far, the 13 inch wasn't as good in the spotty areas. The 15 inch was pretty decent, and the battery powered has done like fairly similar all the way down and back. So on this, just because I'm not using a bag, I think the middle one, what actually happened is instead of it depositing it everywhere, it put it down here heavy where I was turning. For the 13 inch, you can see that it kind of evenly distributed it all the way through. In this bearer stuff, it really didn't pull a whole lot up where the other ones did. So just some different findings as far as those are concerned. You can see that over here against the fence, this is the 13 inch, the 15 inch, and the battery powered. You know, they look pretty even in the longer grass areas. In the shorter grass area stuff, I don't think the 13 inch did it as well, or it didn't have as much thatch, but I would imagine if I ran them cross thatched, would see a different story. So now let's go on to the next test. It's going to be making back and forth passes down these. So for me, the interesting thing is that they kind of went in progression. First one made, second one made, last one made. So if you look at it, the 13 inch, not a whole lot of thatch out in the middle, out there at all. Like didn't pull much up at all out here on the original 13 inch. Interesting for me, because I've always had good results from this. So it's interesting to see it compared to these other two. The 15 inch, so if you look at the sides, these are its passes right down the sides. That's where I was depositing most of it. You won't see much in the middle because it was just kind of letting it all out as we would turn, as noted before. But you can see how much more is been pulled up. Once again, noting the side, once again, noting the side, and then over here, not as much. So the interesting thing to me, and maybe it's an optical illusion because it let it go everywhere, but this battery powered one looks like it pulled out the most stuff. Compare it to this, because you have it down the side, but it looks like if it would have all gone to the side, it would have been a lot more. That the clear winner here on the pull and the ease of use is gonna have to go to the battery powered one. Let's keep in mind though, even though it won in the overall, you're talking $250-ish, depending on what today's market is, to be able to get this. And it's only stated a 20-minute runtime. Keep that in mind. Here, it's priced at about the 180 mark, and it looks like it's done a great job. It's a 15-inch deck, so it's a little bit wider, and let's be honest, who wouldn't want a couple extra inches in their life? So not a bad option, and it does save you money overall. Shockingly enough for me, the one that I've used and I've championed so many times didn't perform as well. I always use it on a setting that it's not recommended for. I use it on the -10 setting, and it says not to go below the 0. The level I used on all of them, so 0, 0, and 3, that's the 0 on the battery powered. At 0, I don't feel like it did that great of a job compared to the other two. I'm only going by what they recommend, so this is as per recommendations results. 13 inch, 15 inch, battery powered SunJoe. So these SunJoes really do have enough power to pull it out. Let's keep in mind that you're only about 120 bucks on this guy, so it does get the job done. I do use it on a lower setting. I don't mind if I break mine, if I'm being honest, but maybe it's worth the extra investment to grab one of these other two for as much as they pulled on the recommended setting and not run the risk of breaking your machine. What do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments down below. So overall, these SunJoes performed in this exact order. I feel like that was the clear winner in the battery powered one in how much thatch, how much debris it pulled out. The second one I felt like was the 15-inch. I felt like it did pretty well. Once again, there was a little bit of difference because the bag should have been on both these machines and we should have saw it that way. But overall, it felt like the battery powered one pulled out the most, 15-inch pulled out the second most, and the original 13-inch didn't pull out as much. So the differences that I'm seeing in that is that that one's a little bit heavier machine, and I feel like it gets down and in there on a lighter setting. So this was on a 3, which is zeros on these two machines, and I feel like since it was a heavier machine, it definitely was able to get down and work into the root zone a lot easier. It wasn't so bumpy and bouncy. This is the second heaviest machine, but it has a different cartridge down below than this one, and I felt like on the zero setting, once again, this one did a lot better in the 15-inch SunJoe model versus the 13-inch. The 13-inch, I feel, best when set outside of its normal parameters. You're only supposed to go down to 0 on the Dethatcher. I do run it at -10, and I get pretty good results. So if you're using this and you don't mind if you use it outside of what's recommended, then the SunJoe 13-inch can be used pretty darn easily. It's the cheapest out of these two. At the time of filming, this one's $120, the 15-inch is $180, and the battery powered was around $250. So a huge difference. You're double the cost of that machine down here for 2 of these. So you could get 2 SunJoe originals for the same cost as the battery powered, or played in the middle, 180, you'd have that machine, and it's a really decent machine. So overall, these SunJoes will not do you a bad job. If you are looking for a dethatcher for your yard, these are a solid option. You might ask, how come you didn't show us anything on the Scarifier? Well, back here where I'm doing this, I don't need to scarify. My front yard is doing extremely well right now. I don't need to scarify. You might ask, what does the Scarifier do that's different than these dethatchers? These dethatchers get in there and they remove this dead material that you're seeing in here, and they're just taking this dead material out of the root zone. They're just pulling that up. So they just get down into this root zone and they pull up this thatch layer that you're seeing right here. Okay, that's what these machines are designed to do, is pull this material out right here. A Scarifier is meant to get down and rip out individual grass plants at the root zone like that in trenches. And what it's doing is it's thinning out our grass so that our grass can then regrow in and not choke itself out. Our grass has gotten too thick is what the Scarifier is used for. It pulls out grass plants like this down little trench lines. I will show you the differences in the Scarifier blades. The 13-inch Scarifier blade, 15-inch Scarifier blade, and the battery-powered Scarifier blade. So looking at these blades, you can see how they're meant to work. So that's meant to actually get down and dig the soil. That's what these Scarifiers do. They get in there and they'll rip out a trench in each one of these little blade sections of our grass plants, so that when our grass plants are growing, it gets too overgrown, and what it needs to do is be able to regrow. So this rips out those grass plants in each one of these little channels right here, and then it's able to have the grass plant that's remaining in the soil grow back in and fill in. So it's able to do as it's supposed to instead of choking itself out. Overall, I don't think that you would go wrong with any of these machines. There are trade-offs here though that I want you to understand. That the battery-powered one seemed like it bogged down a little bit more inside of the longer grass. It did extremely well as soon as it wasn't as long or as thick. It did bog down a little bit. It didn't ever stop it, but the 15-inch powered right through it, and the 13-inch powered right through it. Another thing you have to remember is that they rate that battery for only 20 minutes, where if you go with the 15-inch, you have it powered by a plug, and you're good to have long run times at that point. So there's a few different trade-offs as far as that's concerned. Yes, the number one in this as far as getting the Thatch out, hands down that battery powered one wins. Second, and maybe first, because it does not have the shortcomings that the battery does on that one, is the 15-inch. This 13-inch will not do a bad job. So overall, once again, number one, number two, number three. So after a double pass of the 15-inch machine, this is how we're looking overall. Not too darn shabby. Pulled up quite a bit of dead material, and I will be mowing that off. So that 15-inch machine was my go-to here, just because this is about 4,600 square feet. The battery powered one is good up to 2,300 square feet. So this got too big for the battery powered one, so I went to the 15-inch. That's the reason why I said that this might be the true number one, even though it doesn't perform quite as well. It doesn't come in short when it comes to having to do a lot of square footage. This is 4,600 square feet, and it's doing it like a champ on a double pass. So some very common questions about the SunJoe and dethatching. First one, how do I use a SunJoe Dethatcher? That is quite simple. You go ahead and unbox it, you get it all set up with the detaching attachment instead of the scarifying attachment. Then you go ahead and grab an extension cord, go out to your lawn, mow it down so that it's shorter than normal, at least down to 2.5 inches or less. Push the button on the side, pull the handle, and it sounds like a vacuum. Starts up, and then you just go over it. Just go over it at one of the settings, 10, 5, 0, -5, or 10. Once you go over those settings, you just go over your lawn, making passes, just like you're mowing, just passes back and forth, just like you're mowing. And then once you're done, you either rake up the clippings, you bag it with the little bagger that's included, or you mow them up. How often should you dethatch? You dethatch it once a year. What you're looking for is for that thatch layer, that dead grass, the root matter that's down in the soil to be over 1/2 inch thick. An easy way to test it is to just pull back the grass and look. You can also take your fingers and rake it. And if you're pulling up excessive dead grass and debris out of your lawn, then you definitely should be doing a dethatch. For cool season grasses, you want to do it in early spring or early fall. For warm season grasses, you want to do it in early summer after the second mow. How do you revive your lawn after you have dethatched it? That's pretty easy. What you do is wait until it starts to green up, give it a little bit of fertilizer, give it that nitrogen it's looking for. Also keep it nice and moist. What we want to do is make sure the soil moisture is staying pretty adequate. We don't want it to dry up at this time because it's already stressed, because we just hit it really hard. Is removing dead grass good for the lawn? Yes. It allows the lawn to breathe, it opens it up, it allows water to penetrate down, nutrients to penetrate down, it allows the grass to be able to thicken back up and fill in those areas of the dead spots. So yes, dethatching is a very good thing, so removing that dead grass is great. Do I need to remove dead grass before overseeding? Yes. If the seed does not have soil to seed contact, it will not germinate. It needs to be able to touch the soil to be able to pop and germinate. So the best thing to do is to open up that lawn, remove all that dead matter out of there, and then go ahead and get your overseed done. Just like removing dead grass, should I dethatch before overseeding? Yes. Same principle applies there. You definitely should get rid of that dead matter so that you can get that seed down and next to the soil. That's where it's going to grow. Should I cut my lawn before I dethatch. Yes, what you want to do is be able to remove as much of that layer that's going to block that dethatcher from hitting, so that we can get down to that layer of dead grass. If you have a huge layer of grass in the way, you're going to be ripping a lot of your good grass. So what you want to do is get that out of the way, and so that it can actually have the layer of dead grass that it can take out. Can you dethatch a wet lawn? Damp, yes. Saturated, no. Don't do it. It'll rip the roots and stuff out. It'll bind up your dethatcher. It'll make it so it's not a good dethatching. Also, don't do it when it's excessively dry, because it'll stress the lawn out and you'll damage areas in your lawn. As always, if you have any kind of comments, questions, or concerns, please reach out to me at jeremy@thegreenerlawn@gmail.com, or leave a comment down in the comment section below. Those things are very important to me. I'd like to be able to assist you. You guys have questions, make sure you just leave those down in the comment section below. I'm Jeremy of The Greener Lawn. Make her green.